the National Cutting Horse Association presents Behind the Minds, a series by the Converse Cowboy, featuring James Payne. Brought to you in part by Performance Horse Central and these fine sponsors.
The NCHA has been an important part of my life and my husband's life and my children's life, and it helps teach children so many advantages in life. They learn how to work, they learn how to work together, the friendship, the satisfaction, the focus. You know, my boys have become very good businessmen, know how to work with other people. We work together as a family, and that's important to us.
James Payne, welcome back to the show, my friend. I'm glad to have you back, and I'm looking forward to getting your thoughts on this year's Futurity, 25 long days. What have you been doing since the show's ended? How are you feeling?
Still wished I could have some more time off. Didn't really take any time off. We pretty much started getting back on a lot of 2-year-olds, fixing to turn 3, and then just kind of started getting everything back, kind of whipped back into shape from 3s coming 4 and the 4s coming 5s and all the show horses. So, I mean, that's kind of what we've been doing the last 2 weeks, is just getting everything ready to go to Abilene.
What does time off look like for James Payne?
It won't be for a bit.
So you went to riding horses the very next day after the Futurity?
Well, I'll say this. Sunday I didn't do much.
Okay.
But then Monday I went back to work and everything.
Okay, fair enough. And I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up the fact there were some side bets going as to if you were going to be wearing a denim shirt for the third interview or not. So,
well, this is pretty much my everyday attire. This time of the year I'll wear a little more of a ball cap because in case it's cold, and I wear a hoodie to something to cover my ears.
Right on.
But pretty much a denim shirt, denim pants, that's pretty much what I wear every day.
That's the uniform.
Yeah.
I love it. You had one horse that made the finals and you had one horse that went out. So we'll start with the one that went out. You marked a pair of 216s. What happened? What would you do different if you could?
I went with the one that I thought was the most steady. Like, I thought she was steady. I thought she was a little more sane. I think she's going to be a good mare. I just don't think she handled the pressure and the Futurity as well as what I thought she was going to. All that stuff, you never really know how well a horse is going to take it. That's kind of what makes the Futurity.
Is there anything you could have done to prepare that horse better, or do you think the timing of it, like she just wasn't ready?
I don't know. Horses, there's no owner's manual. So, I mean, hindsight, yeah, there's little things I'd have done different. I would have maybe not coddled her as much and kind of helped her out as much, turned her loose a little more and kicked on her and made her go hold the cow and worry less about how she's traveling across the pen and worry more about whether or not she's grabbing a hold of a cow. Because both 16s that I marked, I had a bobble on the one side to cost me a point, so I'd have been marking a 19 on one side on the first go, and then I had a bobble on the other side in the second go. So I actually thought she was better in the second go than she was the first go, so I made headways. You know, I think I said in an earlier episode too, like, I'm more interested in the long-term longevity running down the road. I'm gonna make my money going down the road than I am at the Futurity. Futurity, everybody puts a lot of pressure on, but in reality, there's only about 5 people out of 570 head of horses that are happy.
Yeah.
And those 5 people, they won over 100,000. Last hole in the finals wins $10,000. In the whole scheme of things, that doesn't make that rider much money. So I'm gonna make more money going down the roads. I don't really know if I would have done anything different to get her ready, but I learned now what I need to do to make her get better for the next show.
I never covered this. What are those horses' barn names?
The mare I made the Futurity finals on is Purdy.
Mm-hmm.
The mare that I marked a pair of 16s on is named Lulu. And then the catch ride was as Barbie.
You brought it up, and I was going to ask the question. So for folks at home that may not know, anybody that enters the Futurity can only bring 2 horses. So James was in a position where he had 3 horses that he could have taken to the Futurity. So when that happens, you find a catch rider for that horse. And in your case, you had Casey Green show that horse. marked what, a pair of 18s or 18 and a half?
I think 18 and a halves, I think. I mean, I got lucky to get a really, really good catch ride. Never at any point in there I was like, oh man, I should have showed that horse or whatever, just because, I mean, it is my horse and it is my product, and, you know, like, it's good for the program.
So I'm curious, I watched your semifinals run back. You come out, you're cut aggressive, just like you said you would, in typical James Payne fashion. Your second cow is not great. What was your strategy going in, and did that change riding back into the herd to cut your third cow?
Basically, the second cow wasn't very good. The semis started off really, really strong in the first bunch. Like, I mean, there was, I don't know how many there was. There was 8 or 9 head with the 19 or better. And it looked like it was going to take this ridiculous amount and stuff like that. And I mean, it still did take a lot. It took an 18 and a half. The second bunch, I don't feel like was as good as the first bunch. The second cow I thought was a better cow than what it was. It wasn't a very good cow. And the third cow was a cow we talked about, we liked. You know, it just worked out to save the day.
I gotcha. So you were able to cut everything you wanted to cut going in? Pretty
much. The second cow was a cow that I kind of knew, but it wasn't one that I was just I would have picked, but at the same time, it was up on top. It was at a spot where I could kind of get to it.
But the cow really wasn't doing much, so it's kind of the opposite. Cow's going slow, you go fast. Is that what was happening?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, how I developed my training deal is a lot of trial and error. I didn't really have anybody that just said, hey, look, this is the way you train a horse. I was bullheaded and had an idea in my head what I thought was the way it was supposed to be, and then I tried to bounce ideas off of people and pull information from different people. My horses go run and stop, and they're a little bit flat. So if you run and stop and you're a little bit flat, they look a little bit plain. So then basically, if the 19 is the bar to mark to advance, and then I'm marking 16s because my horse is flat and a little bit plain and a little bit blah. And so basically I started putting 2 and 2 together. Is like, how am I going to take this horse that runs and stops and is real flat and stops the way I want it to stop, and still like have enough come back up in there to where it looks like they're cowy, to where the judge will mark me my 17 and a half, which nowadays it's a 19, you know? So like, I've got to be able to kick that horse back up in there because my horses are going to be comfortable staying flat. So my horses are kind of conditioned to take that offside kick to kind of come back up into that cow to create intensity, where you'll get a lot of people saying, man, James is kicking really, the cow's not moving, he's kicking really hard with that outside leg. They're conditioned to take it.
It's finals night. You talked about the excitement in the air, the anticipation that was really in Will Rogers throughout the entire Open Futurity, but especially on finals night, to see who was going to be the champion. So you come out and mark a 2:15 on Purdy. I'll just ask, what happened? What would you do different?
I knew that by the time I got through the semis, I was running out of horse. I told Nadine I wanted to back off on the getting her ready, like as far as I wanted to like do it for less time. I feel like I didn't work her as thorough because I feel like I was losing the horse. And I feel like kind of whenever you get to that point, it is what it is. You can't, it's like riding a wave. You can't stop the wave. You know, on the first cow, I think she goes by a cow on the left and stuff like that. Whenever I kind of feel that, and I feel that, but there was already like some pretty big scores marked before me, and then like John goes right after me. But kind of like once I felt that, and I felt like the mare wasn't necessarily feeling it, you just back off and you just get through your run and you do what the cow does and mark your 15, you know, and you win your 25,000 instead of your 10,000, and mission accomplished, and go on to the next one.
Yeah, I remember watching it, and you ride in, clean cut, you get up, drop your hand fast, and it's like it never got in sync. Like the rhythm it just never happened.
Right.
Of course, that doesn't go how you want. What is going through your head? What are you thinking about as you ride out?
I mean, you're disappointed, but it's not devastating to me. I mean, I was more worried about going home because everybody was tired. We cooled the mare out and brushed her off and, put her up, finished, we had pretty much everything loaded at that point, and kind of see how the second bunch went. And it didn't look like the second bunch was as good as the first bunch.
Well, what are your thoughts about Johnny's run and just seeing his first Futurity title?
One thing I wanted to say in this interview is what's really cool about the Futurity is the first two places. Both people are riding homegrown horses. They worked really, really hard to accomplish what they accomplished this year. It was due, it was meant to be for John to win. It's really cool to see somebody that was first and second on a home-raised horse that believes in that bloodline, For as much effort and work and stuff as John Mitchell's done, but the same thing is for as much money and as Slate River and Glade Knight have put into the industry. That's
right.
Really good.
Right. What horse caught your attention? What was the one horse you were like, damn, that's a nice horse?
I'd seen Kara's horse at the Warwick pre-work, so I kind of had seen it a little bit. I liked Kenny's horse. Really, the two horses that stood out to me from the semis, kind of like what I thought that the judging was kind of like leaning towards and stuff like that, was Austin and John. So the $1 Million horse and John Mitchell's horse. Those were the two that I thought it was theirs to lose, I thought. Just the way things were kind of looking, know.
What about trainers? Was there a trainer that stood out to you, maybe an up-and-comer, that you're like, damn, they did a really good job?
I think Thomas Bray does a good job. And I think his horses are looking good, and they're looking real cowy and gritty and stuff like that. I like the direction that his horses are evolving to.
Well, there's many things that I admire about you and the top open level guys, but the one thing that y'all have the ability to do that I envy so much is the ability to tap into a horse's mind. And so I'm curious to know from your perspective, when you're riding in on finals night, on semifinals night, what's going through your horse's mind? Do you think she knows that this is a competition?
I think NCHA did a really good job this year because I felt like there was more in attendance, in the semis, like the whole semis, like I think in some of the years past, like if you drop in the first couple bunches, they may not be as packed in the semis. And then as it gets on, people go to drinking and more people show up and it's in the evening and everything else like that. And you get more noise. And I feel like it's really hard to know how a horse is going to handle that, like in the nerves and stuff like that. Because I've had some horses, like some really nice horses that have made the semis and end up not being very good in the semis. And I contribute a lot of that to just atmosphere and noise and everything. I think it's easier once you show them horses a few times, it's easier to know what's going on through their mind and, kind of like, okay, are they with me or are they not with me or anything? I had a feeling kind of leaving the semis, like I was really grateful. I was real happy, real pumped to make the finals and stuff, but I had a feeling that my mare was I was losing her just a little bit, like nothing major, just needs a break, needs to go home and chill for a little bit.
What was it that gave you that feeling?
I just felt like they didn't feel the explosiveness, the charisma, the catch, the catch that she can do.
Yeah, I got you. I'm sure that you've watched your Futurity videos multiple times. You've been through like what you would do different, what you would do the same, but in reflecting on all of that, like, is there a lesson that stands out to you, something like a key takeaway from this year's Futurity?
I think the mare that I made the Futurity finals on, I think that she is going to respond a little bit better if I don't try to mash on her and kick her over there, let her have it just a little bit more, be a little softer, let her kind of do it. I think that I kind of overpower her a little bit if I go to mashing on her. So like the way I rode her in the semis, I wished if I had it to do over again, I would have backed off of her just a tick and let her have it. But don't worry about how she travels across the pen. Worry about her, going with the cow, working the cow, and everything will take care of itself.
Western Bloodstock sales were at an all-time high this year. I'm curious to know your thoughts on that. What is it that's backing the demand of the performance horse market?
I really don't know. Like that deal puzzles me, and I don't know what that means for the rest of the year. I don't know what it means for me, the horse trainer, trying to sell horses. You know, like I don't know if that means that all my horses are worth $300,000, or if in reality my horse is worth $60,000. Sometimes I don't really know what the difference between a $150,000 horse and a $300,000 or $400,000 horse. You know,
Right.
So I don't know. My hats are off to Western Bloodstock and what they've accomplished and what they've done, but I don't know what's driving it.
So with each new year, there's going to be a new crop of 3-year-olds. What does that new crop look like for you? And is there a special 2 or 3 in there that you're looking forward to getting started for next year?
I feel like we've put together pretty good string, and I say put together, like Kathleen's put together a good string. There's
Kathleen Moore,
customer.
of yours.
Yep. Has put together a pretty good string of fillies. She's raised a couple colts that I think are pretty decent. Got a couple other customers that have some really nice 3-year-olds. I guess you never really know if they're the superstar that you're wanting to win the Futurity, but I feel like the depth of horse that I've had for this year, the 3s coming 4, is kind of one of the deeper sets that I've had. You know, like as far like I feel like I've got 3 or 4 that, you know, I can run down the road in the 4-year-old and be competitive on. And I kind of maybe feel that way or stronger on the 2s coming 3, you know. And I don't think it just happened. I think it's a little bit of orchestrating your own playbook.
Yeah, right on. Well, man, that's all I got for you. I want to thank you for sharing your time and your wisdom on this Behind the Mind series. It's been a pleasure to have you on, and I wish you the best of luck in 2022.
Yep. Well, thanks.